Hi everybody, Saul Sunforge here. Um, some of the people in my party asked how I got my name Saul Sunforge, and I told them the story, and I guess they were moved by it and wanted me to share it on my channel. And so that's what I'm going to do with you right now. The names are fictitious, the people are not, and the story for sure is not. So sit back and listen. I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. Hopefully, like a 6 or so minutes would be good. And yeah, all right. So let's get to it. So my character Saul Sunforge, his name comes from when I joined the Navy back in 2001. I was stationed on the USS Abraham Lincoln. There wasn't much for us to do out to sea. There wasn't really much electricity and things like that. We had to share stuff, and so there wasn't really much to do. And I noticed a lot of people were playing tabletop D&D, and I had no previous experience with tabletop D&D. I did play D&D, however, on the PC back in like 1993. I think the game was like called Clouds of Zine, Warriors of Zine, but I didn't have any tabletop experience with it. So my friend, we'll call him Chuck, was DMing a campaign, and he presented it to me as a brand new campaign. And he told me to go ahead and make a character. And so my character was Saul Sunforge. He was a half orc barbarian. Well, he was a dwarf barbarian, but through things in the game, some kind of MacGuffin, he was transformed into a half orc. I don't know. I don't. He was transformed into a half orc. So either way, we'll just use it interchangeably, I guess. So anyway, as he was a half orc, you know, Chuck's friends, we'll call him Paul and Dante. So Paul and Dante were real good friends with Chuck in real life, and better friends than I was because they worked with him in his division. And Paul was a level 10 merchant, and Dante was a level 8 rogue thief. I forget what they're called in 3.5. And they, Dante had me a knife point to my throat, and Paul had a short sword to my back, and they threatened to kill my character unless I became essentially their slave. They wanted me to pull their cart, and they would sit in the cart and have the reins, and I'd have the whole thing in my mouth, pulling the cart and whatnot. And I thought this was kind of weird, but I didn't play D&D before, so I wasn't gonna say nothing because I was just like, guess I'm happy to play, this new game. And so we were on our way one day, trying to get closer to like a capital city or something. And before we made camp, the sun was setting, and there was a river, and they said, "Go take a bath. You stink." And so I went down to the river to go take a bath as the half orc. And there was a female orc. She was, bathing too. She was completely naked. Not trying to get rated R with it because of YouTube, but she was naked. She was well endowed, and he explained her as attractive, and he was doing everything he could to try to get me to sleep with this orc. I think she was an orc or a half orc. I forget exactly which one. But he tried to get me to sleep with her, and I wasn't having any of it because I really don't want to role play with other men in sexual situations, even though they're playing as a woman. Like it just, I don't know. It just kind of feels awkward to me. I have a good imagination, but no matter how good your imagination is, you still know who the person is speaking as, whoever. And even as a female, I kind of just try to avoid that whole thing, because I don't feel like that's exactly really what D&D is. Like it's part of it somewhere. But anyway, I digress. So he explained how the water was glistening off of her perky breasts and things like that, and I distanced myself from her, took my bath in the water and whatnot, and he seemed mad that I wasn't approaching her, and so he had her approach me, and he had this this devilish, I don't know how to explain it, like this horny evil look on his face, you know. So he, without letting me roll, which at the time I had no idea that I was that this was a contested check or anything. He had her pin me down and mount me and have her way with me. And then after we were done, he rolled some dice and it was like, oh, and she's pregnant. All within like the same session. And that's not how pregnancy works in real life, but whatever. It was D&D. It was like all right. So you basically just had this lady have sex with me against my will, which we know what R word that is. Um, so we get to the camp later that night, and they make the fire and stuff, and they're drinking alcohol. They go back and forth between the cart. They have me still chained up to the cart, by the way. And they get their alcohol, their wine, and whatnot. They go sit down by the fire, and they're eating their food and drinking their wine, and they're drunk, and they go to sleep. They pass out, and then I see that as my chance to escape. And they're writing the DM notes back and forth, trying to metagame. Well, I escaped. I went back to the river. I made some false tracks on the opposite end, and then went back, like walked backwards down my tracks and hightailed it up the river and went to a city opposite way. And they were trying to find me. They were furious, and they were metagaming and everything. And I didn't know that I could have been like, hey, like, what do you? It was obvious that the DM wanted them to reacquire me to punish me, and it never happened. They would somehow be in a city like 300 miles away from this incident when I would travel to, after like a few weeks time or a month time or whatever, and they would randomly see me like in the market square, and all these went to like an inn, and they would happen to be there, and like all this other voodoo nonsense that would happen to try to reacquire me. And I decided, that's enough. I'm done. And I took 6 months break from D&D, and I didn't have a book or nothing at the time. But I decided, you know what? Why am I going to let these idiots ruin my good time? And I decided right there, I'm going to learn the rules as best as I can, and I'm going to be a forever DM. So this way, this doesn't happen to other people. And so that's how I became a forever DM. And since my character was Saul Sunforge, I use that for all my online activities, especially role play and things like that. And that's my screen name for D Live. That's where I stream. And as like a remembrance. And I made sure that I was going to be a forever DM to make sure this stuff didn't happen to any other players, at least in my campaigns. And that's the quick story of Assault Sunforge and me and my first experience playing Dungeons and Dragons. So there you go. I'll upload this. My daughter has school here. I'm actually 3 minutes late while I'm recording this video for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and go to her school, and then I'll go ahead and upload this to YouTube right after that. All right, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon, and have a great day. Thank you.